I'm Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Many of you guys that are struggling right now are kind of all over the place. You're dictated by your emotions and you're confused, you're anxious, and you're heartbroken. And when you're in a situation like that, you're oftentimes looking all over the place for different ideas on what to do. Unfortunately, many of those ideas that we come up with during a breakup are the exact opposite of what you should do. Think about it. Look at all the comments that you see that the minute your ex breaks up with you, you're begging, you're pleading, you're doing a grand gesture, you're proposing. All of those things don't work. Now, I can't say they don't work 100% of the time, but I would say, in my experience, most of those things cause it to go very poorly. So, one of the things I love to do with you guys on the calls is come up with a plan for whatever your specific situation is, because believe me, they are extremely different. I know it might seem like a breakup is similar across the board, but if you sat and saw my calls all day long, you'd see how incredibly different situations are. So, having a plan for your situation is really important, because if you don't and you just panic and, stalk them and go by their work and do things like that, it's just going to make the situation a lot worse for you. So, I got 3 really important tips that I'm going to share after I read this email from somebody that I did some Skype coachings with. They said, "Dear Craig, we did a few Skypes back in early summer. I had to say thank you to both you and Margaret. First of all, for all the incredible content, which clearly also has research base. I'm also a psychologist myself, and am extremely impressed by your work." Well, thank you so much. It's always great to hear when I have people in the field that love what Margaret and I do. It's a high compliment for us, because you guys, in many cases are similar in education and background, and so when you guys are saying, "Wow, I'm blown away by this stuff," it really makes us feel good. So thank you for saying that. "I cannot thank you enough for how you challenged me in our Skype sessions. You were right to call me out on my excuses. You said it like I needed to hear. You were right that I wasn't really doing the work. You were right that I wasn't ready." Okay, one of the things that I find time and time again is that you guys are so focused on what your ex is doing, where they're at, what their current status is of what's going on with them, if they're talking to somebody else or dating somebody else, that you're not really focused on yourself. And I can see it in my calls on who's working really hard and who's kind of, fooling themselves, right? And I tell you that because I want to be honest with you guys, so you guys don't make that mistake. There's only so much I can do. You guys have to implement that, but I got to call it like it is. Goes on to say, "At the time, I didn't realize that I didn't learn to implement any actual skills or changes. When you specifically asked me, 'What skills have you learned?'" It's a good question, isn't it? What skills have you actually learned? Margaret and I are always focused on giving you actual skills. We have a good video coming out on communication probably in the next week or so. I highly recommend you watch it. And how would I implement those skills if I got in front of my ex? It was a wake-up call. If my ex had reached out, I wouldn't have made any real lasting changes. I didn't really learn communication skills. I didn't understand attachment. I wasn't much better than when she had dumped me. Well, I think it's great that this guy is taking a look at himself and realizing that he had not done as much work as he had thought he was, or maybe he didn't even realize it because he was just so overwhelmed. But you gotta learn the skills, okay? Really important. Thank God my ex didn't reach out before our sessions. After our second call, I bought your knowledge workbooks. I did volumes 1 through 10 already, and I'm going through them a second time. Now that's motivation, because there is 96 videos that it covers. That's incredible. I went to the gym 5 days a week. I listened to your podcast in the car every day to and from work. I don't hardly ever mention this, but I am podcasting now. You can listen to the episodes. A lot of them are on Spotify and iTunes and some other platforms. I don't keep up with them all. I started practicing the workbook skills on my friends, family, and coworkers. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm saying the difference is when you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? Look at what he's doing here. He's practicing the workbook skills on friends, family, and coworkers. And how much different do you think he's going to be than those of you that don't do those type of things, right? It's like, look at it this way. Who's more successful? The kids that just sit and listen to the lecture in class, or the ones that actually go and do the work at home at night? Who do you think is going to be more successful? The ones that actually do it. It's not even close. I read over the notes from our call at least 3 to 5 times a day. I had a cheat sheet on my phone so I could pull them out all the time. Another great strategy. Look at that. He's got notes from the call, he puts them on the phone, and he's reviewing them constantly throughout the day. Those little things make a big difference, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. I was so determined that I would be ready if my ex ever reached out, and I was going to stick to our plan. So, I was thinking you could do a video on my situation and talk about the importance of having and sticking to a plan. Well, so far you've done a phenomenal job. At first you didn't, but then you had that wake-up call and you were like, oh wow, I really don't know any more skills. What would I do differently if my ex was upset and they're angry at me? Now you're prepared, right? And guess what? She finally did. He put that in bold, by the way. A little over a month ago, I stuck to our plan. The first night was great. We even held hands and kissed. The second night, she was a little bit more apprehensive than the first date. However, I was ready. Thank God I did the work. He put that in bold. I stayed calm and cool. The old me would have freaked out right away and pushed her away because, like he said, the first date was great. The second date, she was more apprehensive, and he was ready for that. The third time, we had an amazing time, and we even hooked up. I'm taking things slow and letting her slowly see this awesome new side of myself. She is now reaching out to me every few days, and we are hanging out on a regular basis. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I feel confident no matter what comes my way. I hope you remember me. I enclosed a picture of us. By the way, are you ever going to put a donation button? There are a lot of people who would be grateful for everything that you do. And I appreciate that, guys. I have not even thought about that in a while. I don't know, maybe one day I'll do it. But no, I do appreciate that from you guys and all the support. I'm happy when you guys share my work with other people, with friends and family, when they're going through relationship issues. And even when you just like the videos and share videos and comment, Margaret and I are happy with that. That helps the channel grow. So, this guy had his plan in place. He stuck to it. He reviewed it. He knew it inside and out. And look at how well he did here. So he's got the situation turning around, and let's see how it goes. And maybe he'll send me a success story in the future with how things are going, if they've improved. But thank you for sharing that, because you made a lot of really good points that people don't even hit on. So I got 3 really important tips for you guys that you don't think about when you're going through this. But I sat down and I was thinking about this, and I decided to write these out for you, okay? So, number 1, you are going to get overwhelmed with emotions around your ex, okay? It's going to happen. Expect it. You're not going to be relaxed or calm when they contact you, if you're calling them on the phone or talking to them or even text messaging them. You're going to get overwhelmed by emotions. Have you ever had something happen to you where you were almost physically hurt, like you were almost hit by a car, or you almost fell down or got knocked over, or something scary happened where you felt this incredible rush of anxiety in your body? You know what I'm talking about? That moment where you're just like, oh my gosh, and you're just overwhelmed? That's what it feels like. You need to expect that. When you see your ex, and you see them out in public, sometimes you'll just be driving and see your ex out driving. That happened to me. You're going to feel that overwhelming fear, that panic, that anxiety. Maybe it's primal panic. Whatever it is, you can expect to have it. So, okay, the next tip. You need to know when your chance comes. This is really important, guys. You guys get so overwhelmed and anxious and upset when your ex reaches out. And I get that. I've been there. But when is it that your ex and you have a chance? Every single second that you are in some kind of contact. That's when your chance is. That's your opportunity. That is when you need to be at your best. Okay? It doesn't matter what you do all throughout no contact if when you have that moment, you make a bunch of mistakes. And honestly, I see this a lot. I'd much rather you guys do a coaching call with me early on to give you a plan than having to put out fires. I don't mind having to put out fires with you, but I'd rather you be proactive. For those of you guys that are like, I'll do a call when my ex reaches out. Why not let me help you and come up with a plan in place so I know what happened to deal and navigate it? Okay? It's a lot easier when there's less mistakes, right? If you continue to make mistakes, then it's going to be tougher to navigate that, right? But I really want you to think about it this way. Every single second that you are in contact with your ex, be it a text message, a phone call, you're on a date, you're seeing them, you bump into them in person, that is your opportunity where you have to stay centered, okay? I know you immediately go into panic mode. That's what I'm trying to warn you about. And you're going to want to start talking about the breakup and, oh my God, give me another chance. I've done that mistake before. I'm trying to warn you guys for that one, all right? And the third one, which is kind of all tied together, is you have to keep your emotions in check at all times. If you're texting, you need to recognize it can go off the rails quickly. It can go off the rails quickly if you're in person with them. You've got to stay centered and emotionally regroup if you're in that moment and you're getting really nervous, okay? You got to bring yourself down and calm yourself down and try and be present, okay? I laugh about the situation with the Applebee's girl, okay? And I joke about how I cried at Applebee's. And the truth of the matter is that a mistake came when she started talking about how much her daughter missed me. And that was just the absolute worst part, because I was incredibly attached to this girl. You know, she was only 1 when we started dating. She was 3 when we broke up. And she was like my daughter. And I was absolutely devastated over her. And when she told me a story about how much her daughter missed me and how she had been asking her brother about me and how she had been asking her repeatedly, where am I? And she gave this really sad story about where was I, and You just have to tell Craig to come home. That's when I started crying, okay? It wasn't so much about her that made me so upset. It was about the daughter and missing her. And I didn't plan for that. I didn't expect that I was going to get that upset or overwhelmed over missing her so badly. But I'm telling you, it gave me chills, and it still does, to think about it because of how much that little girl missed me. It just killed me inside. And so you got to expect that if you are really emotional about a certain aspect of your situation and it comes up, keep it together, okay? Because I wasn't able to. And I had even had a session with Margaret that day. I remember we sat down and I talked about it, and I was like, Margaret, you have to get me in. And I think we sat there for maybe up to 2 hours that day just talking about the whole thing, and I was so ready to go. But it was that one area that really got to me. And, I don't mind opening up about that because, I love that kid. And it's hard when you have other people. It's not just you and your ex. A lot of times there's really close family involved that you got attached to and they became your family. And it's really tough. So know that you got to mentally prepare for that really difficult aspect of your situation that gets to you and hold it together. Okay? And if you don't plan for these things, you'll wind up crying at Applebee's yourself, okay? You guys want to put yourself in the best position to turn things around, and you got to have a plan, okay? Don't just focus on where your ex is at and what they're doing all day long, because that's not going to get you ready, okay? So, if you want to get my help personally, just go to my website, askcraig.net, sign up for the coaching option that works best for you. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Of course, Margaret is available for Skype coaching. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and I will talk with you soon.